Hi everyone, it's Theresa, and today we're going to talk about the subtle ways that we steal. Being somebody working a spiritual path means that there's some sort of code of conduct that you are working with that includes non-stealing. That's one of the things that's in the code of conduct of every religion and every philosophy ever. So while most of us aren't going around robbing stores or stealing other people's stuff, there are very subtle ways that we still steal. Each one of us has a finite supply of time. You only have a certain amount of hours and minutes that you will be incarnate in this body on this earth. So if you're planning to meet somebody at 1 p.m. and you show up at 1:05, you have just stolen 5 minutes of their life from them that you can't give them back. They can't get those 5 minutes back. So being late is one of the biggest ways we steal from each other and don't even know that we're doing it. Another way we steal from each other fairly consistently is by waiting for somebody else to stop telling their story or sharing their excitement about something just so that we can jump in and share about our experience. It's not like when we're in those times where somebody is asking for our advice and then we're jumping in with our own personal experience and helping them through the process. What it is somebody really sharing about their excitement about their trip to Italy, and then we're jumping in and sharing all about our trip to Italy, making it about us as opposed to being supportive and excited for them and with them. So we're stealing their joy and their excitement in those moments and making them feel like those things are unimportant to us and that our own experience is the only thing that's really important. This also takes the form of one-upping each other. Trying to trump another's experience is a way of kind of taking the rug out from under that person who just shared, instead of being fully present and there with them at the time and then at a future time telling your story. We've all experienced this with other people, and now you'll probably notice it more if you're about to do it to somebody else. So if this is your pattern, or if this is something you notice yourself about to do, just stop, take a deep breath, and be truly present with the other person. Really listen to them. Really get in there and be excited with them, and you're allowing them to have their moment and their joy. Something else that we do as a human race really consistently is steal from the earth. We are constantly taking from her, taking all of the things that she so lovingly provides us without stopping to give something in return. In most Native American cultures, the question is, how will each decision I'm making affect the earth 7 generations out? How will it affect my lineage 7 generations out? So if you're about to take a plastic bag from a store that you don't need, stop and ask yourself, how will my decision to take this plastic bag affect my lineage, affect the earth 7 generations out? And if you don't have a good answer to that and you don't really need the bag, maybe it's time to make a different decision. We often forget that we're visitors to this land. That's really all we are. Everything here is on loan to us, and we don't actually own any of it. At the moment we came in, and at the moment we leave, we will take nothing with us. And this one is steeped really, really deeply in our culture. We use phrases like my car, my shirt, my daughter. And what we're doing is implying that we own things, that they're ours, that we are greater than, that these things belong to us. So if they're other humans, we take away their sovereignty. This shirt came from something else. It's actually of something else, and it's just kind of on loan to me. I'm just wearing it in this time frame. And that is a very, very, very subtle thing that we can start to shift, is our vocabulary around ownership. The car, this shirt. It doesn't have to be my shirt. And shifting our vocabulary automatically starts changing the structure and the neural pathways in our brain. When we take in too much information from the outside because we are not strong enough and balanced enough from the inside, that is when we are more subject to tripping up in this area. When we don't feel enough, we start comparing ourselves to other people. We start judging ourselves. We start telling ourselves the stories about who we are and who we are not. And in doing that, we actually steal the richness of the potential of the experience we could have here. All of those stories that we tell ourselves at one time or another, they limit our experience. We're stealing our own experience when we sit in judgment of ourselves, when we sit in the negative self-talk. We are beings who are here and we have infinite potential because the divine is always with us. We are spiritual matter having a human experience, and this implies that we have infinite potential. So we can have whatever experience we choose to have when we limit or don't limit ourselves. You may have this experience also where you're so wrapped up in something that you're doing, your focus is so much on it. So let's say for a year, you're planning your wedding. When you look back over the year, you don't have any memories of anything that you did for that year. But you had this great wedding, but you don't remember any parties you went to, you don't remember any dinners you had with friends. That is because you were so focused on something else, you didn't leave any energy to record your own memories. So you actually stole that year of your life from yourself by not taking the time to pause, to integrate the experiences that you were having, to allow them to settle in. This is a form of being present for ourselves, for our own life, making our own records. And so we don't lose any moments. And then we can learn from other people in a way that is balanced and aligned. If someone knows how to do something that we don't know how to do, hire them, compensate them fairly, and learn from them. So now we are being who we are and we're learning from somebody else, and we're integrating who we are with what we're learning instead of leaving who we are behind. And we are compensating somebody fairly for their time. It's all about exchange of energy and not taking and taking and taking from another person, but having that exchange, allowing them to come into the place where they can receive, letting yourself be in a place where you can give. Because at that point, we're also letting them know that we really appreciate their skill by asking for their help with whatever it is and by compensating them fairly. So whether you're hiring a professional or just someone in your family who you know has a skill that you want to develop, this is a way of making sure that everyone ends up in surplus at the end. In terms of manifesting and wanting what we desire and all of those things, I hear very often, oh, I've been asking for this and I've been wanting this and it's not here yet. Here's the thing. If we actually really, really want something, we have to grow ourselves to be ready to have it. We have to be competent for when it arrives. And you see this over and over again with things like the lottery. People win the lottery and then within a week they've blown it all on whatever, and now they're in even more of a deficit. They're in even more debt than they were before they won the lottery. But this happens more often than not. People aren't ready because it happens so quickly. They haven't prepared themselves for what would happen when it got here. So while we're holding the vision of whatever it is that we are asking for, whatever it is we feel we're moving the energy of our lives towards, whatever it is we feel we're growing and learning to attain and to show up as, we have to actually groom ourselves from the inside to change and shift and grow for what happens when it actually arrives. So if you want to be an Olympic gymnast, you have to be ready and strong enough to handle all of the things that stature would demand. So not only the physical things, you would obviously have to be in your peak physical condition to compete in the Olympics, but you would have to be really strong at your mental game to do all of the press and survive the time change and still perform and be focused enough to continue training, continue focusing on the outcome when there's all this other stuff going on around you. This is another way we steal from ourselves. We don't prepare ourselves for the moment when the big break hits. So know that when you're asking for something, when you're moving energy, when you're studying, when you're doing all of the things that you're doing for manifesting what it is you want in your life, yes, it's on its way to you, and you better be prepared for when it gets here, because you have to be able to hold it. You have to be able to stand in the energy of receiving it, or it's going to drain through your fingers. As if your hands were like this, it's just going to drain like water through your fingers. So this is your physical body, your mental body, your emotional, and your spiritual body. We have to constantly be priming ourselves so that we are not stealing the richness of our own experience when we actually manifest, when what we've been asking for actually manifests itself in our lives. So this is just a really short list of the ways that we steal from ourselves, from other people, from the planet and the collective on a fairly regular basis. When we can start paying attention to the really subtle ways that these things happen, we can start to shift the energy in our own lives and in the world at large in bigger and better ways. So let's just start. Pick something really simple that we talked about in this video, whether it just be changing your vocabulary around ownership, or whether it be starting to really strengthen yourself to receive what it is that's coming to you because you want it to manifest so badly. Let's start shifting this from now, because you can see in talking about a lot of these things, the ways in which the collective is affected by it. So changing one person ripples energy out and changes the whole in ways you can't even imagine. So doing your own work, even in those moments where you feel like you're not making a difference, yes, you are. You are changing things for everyone else. And don't tell yourself a story that it doesn't matter, because it does. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Please feel free to share this video. Give it a like if you liked it. Leave a comment. So much love. Peace. Bye, everybody.